We've just got the brand new 14-inch MacBook Pro, and this is the 10-core, 10 CPU, 16GB 1TB model. So let's unbox it. So we've just come back from the Apple Store and we've picked up our brand new 14-inch MacBook Pro. And we just thought it would be nice to unbox it for you in this video. So at the end of the video, I'll compare this against my current 13-inch model so we can see a difference in the bezels, in the weight, in the thickness. So stay tuned if you want to see that. So first of all, let's take off this lovely bit of plastic wrap. Let's do that. Didn't actually need the penknife. So there we go. This is the MacBook Pro. Kind of looks like all the other boxes we've had in the past. You always get that nice feeling when you take an Apple product out of its box. And here it is. Let's put that to one side for the moment. So inside the box, for the first time, we've got an Apple braided cable. So instead of the plastic type cable, this is a braided cable. And I don't know if you can see this, we're back to MagSafe again. And I really do prefer this because if you're charging via USB-C and you walk past and kick the cable, obviously it will pull your computer off the side of the desk. So the fact you get this included is fantastic. And you can still use USB-C too. So we've got that there. Inside this, we've just got our usual papers. No doubt there'll be some Apple stickers and things, but it's just the instruction book. It's a little bit stuck in there. I think there's just like a little tiny piece of card just stuck in the back. And then we've got some stickers that are stuck. Sorry guys, we're gonna have to really do a bodgy job at getting this out. There we go. Some black Apple stickers. Usually come with all of the Pro products. Let's stick that to the side. And then we've got our UK 3-pin power adapter and plug. Feels about the same weight as usual. I think this is a slightly faster charger than normal, so you know it could be a little bit heavier. We'll test out how fast this will charge as well in the box. But now we've got that out, let's turn the Mac on. Well, let's actually take the cellophane wrapper off and let's have a look. So here we are. Just going to pull this off the back. Ooh, now this is nice. I'm just going to take that out. So instantly, before I turn over, you can see here it's got a MacBook Pro branding kind of stamped into the MacBook Pro. I didn't know that was going to be there. That's quite nice. We've got new feet here. It's a little bit more rounded here on the sides. I don't know if you can see that. A little bit more rounded. We've got what we've got there: 2 USB-C ports. We've got the MagSafe and the headphone jack on this side. And if we turn it around, we've got SD card slots. Woohoo! So glad they're back. USB-C again and HDMI, which is super handy if you want to do any monitoring or anything like that. If we look around the MacBook Pro, this is the space gray model. Looks very nice. It is a little bit heavier than the 13-inch one. You can tell that instantly when you take it out of the box. I think when I looked at the specs, it's about 250 grams heavier. I'll check that, maybe 200 grams heavier. So that's had a little bit of weight to it. It is a bit thicker. Not too bad, but it's definitely thicker than the last model. I think you can tell that just by looking at it. Now, let's open this up. So there we go. It's on. So we can see here, let's just take off this screen protector. And there we go. You can see there we've got the new keyboard. Just put this on the camera above so you can see that this is the new black keyboard that you can see there. What do you feel about this? I'm not sure how I feel about this yet. It kind of gives it a new design, but it's a bit odd. And then we've got this new screen and you can see the animation there taking place on the screen. Let's just put that out front. And you can see this is the 14-inch screen, almost bezel-less, apart from the new notch. What do you think about the notch? Let me know in the comment section below. I can't say I'm super impressed with it. It is quite big, isn't it? But we'll just see how it plays out when you actually use it with full screen apps. I actually had to go in the App Store, and what I noticed was that when you're in Safari or Final Cut and you go full screen, it almost creates a black border at the top. So actually a lot of this space isn't really usable within apps. It's usable sort of on the desktop, and you get your kind of file and menu and everything. It sort of sits either side of that, which is quite good. But actually, when it comes to using full screen apps, you kind of, the space goes away. But it does mean you get this nice sort of bezel-less design. So that's pretty cool. So let's give you a little tour of the side of this Mac, and then we're going to bring in the current 13-inch MacBook Pro in against it so we can see some side-by-sides. Okay, so this is a quick comparison of the 14-inch MacBook Pro with M1 chip and the previous last year's 13-inch MacBook Pro with the Intel chip. So let's just put these side by side first of all, and you can just see the size difference. So you can instantly see there, we'll get a shot now of the in front, and you can see that this MacBook Pro 14-inch is definitely a little bit thicker, and it's almost like it's the size of the 13-inch MacBook Pro coupled with a new screen, and it's the size of the screen which adds to that thickness. If we put them side by side, let's just see if there's any difference in length. And you can see again that the MacBook Pro 14-inch is also slightly taller than the outgoing 13-inch. Now if we put them on top of each other, again, you can see that the MacBook Pro is also wider as well. So in almost every dimension, in thickness, in length, in width, it's definitely a little bit bigger in every direction in the 14-inch MacBook Pro. Now I'm actually surprised by that. I thought what would happen was that they would essentially get rid of the bezels, and that would take the 13.3-inch screen to the 14 in the same size body. So I am a little bit surprised that it is quite a lot, I say quite a bit bigger. It's a little bit bigger than the 13-inch MacBook Pro. But of course, they've done something that we all wanted. They've put back the ports that we all love, the MagSafe, the HDMI, the SD card slot, and I would happily accept this new weight and size compared to not having them. It always annoyed me having dongles all the time. I've got some great dongles. I'll link them in the below if you do want one for the older Mac. But actually just having an SD card reader on a Mac, so good. So let's look at the weight. And if I pick up with one hand, it's not huge, but you can feel this one is a little bit heavier. I don't think it'll make a massive difference if you have a backpack and you've got this in the bag, but you may need to look for a new laptop case. If you've got quite a tight 13-inch case, I can imagine it's not going to fit this new 14-inch MacBook Pro. Right, now let's spin these around and take a look at the screens. Just going to check this is unlocked. There we go. And I haven't signed in for this one. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to see our full review of this 14-inch MacBook Pro. And we're going to do tests on Photoshop, on Premiere, on Final Cut, so you can see the difference. So side by side, let's just put this up a little bit, and this one up a little bit. There we go. So side by side, you can see it's bigger. On the keyboard, of course, they've changed the touch bar. They've got rid of the quite shitty touch bar, let's be honest. It didn't really add much to the Mac. If anything, it slowed me down because elements of the UI would change and you wouldn't know where certain buttons were. So they've now put the full-size F-row keys in, which I think is actually much better. I think it's a much better addition in my opinion. Let me know what you think. And the screen. So what do we think of these new screens? Of course, they're facing away from me at the moment, but it should give you an idea here, if you look around here, the size difference between the bezels, between the new screen. So I'm just going to take a little look myself, and yeah, it's nice. It's really nice. To be honest, looking at them front on, and I'll just put this down so you can maybe see this on the camera above. The older 13-inch goes back slightly further, not much in it to be honest. And you can already tell, even from this screen here, if I just turn the brightness up, and again get the touch bar up, you can already see this screen seems to look brighter, seems to look nicer than the 13-inch MacBook Pro. Other than that, I mean, the bezels are smaller. They're maybe actually not quite as small as I thought they would be from some of the press pictures I've seen. They're definitely smaller, and it's always nice to have smaller bezels. This one, of course, has the notch, so you do lose that entire black bar that you see on the bigger 13-inch Pro. The trackpads are the same size. The key presses, very, very similar. If you've got last year's MacBook Pro 13-inch, they're very similar to this brand new M1. If you have the previous one to that, the 2016 MacBook Pro, where they were extremely flat butterfly keys, I think you'll quite like the upgrade to these new sort of scissor style switches. So that's a quick look at the new 14-inch MacBook Pro. We're going to run some more tests, as I say here, because I do all of my editing on a 13-inch MacBook Pro. Of course, Lewis, as you know, who I talk about in the videos a lot, he edits in Premiere Pro on the iMac. I tend to edit the parts that I edit on a 13-inch, this 13-inch MacBook Pro on Final Cut, and it handles it okay. For some of the more graphical stuff, obviously this doesn't have a proper GPU in it. This now has the 10-core CPU, the 10-core GPU. So I'm really interested to see what the speed difference is going to be like. If you're a 13-inch owner, is it worth upgrading to the 14-inch if you need to do any heavier tasks, maybe some photography, maybe some video work, maybe some design work? We're going to find out all about that on this channel. So thanks for watching. Again, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button if you want to see the next video where we're going to go over this, do some speed tests, and then a few days later, when I've had this for maybe a week or so, we'll do our week-long review. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.